AfterTalk.com for exclusive comedy content that YouTube won't let me post, as well as perks that you have to see to believe.
If it feels like everything is reality TV nowadays, you'd be kind of right. Yeah, it just kind of feels like everything's reality TV nowadays. And it kind of feels like Jennifer's a bitch. This is a dumb bit. Yeah, I guess everything does kind of feel like reality TV nowadays. Also, I don't know who Jennifer is. Thanks in part to a heavy dose of nostalgia for the 2000s, industry reports suggest that production of reality TV content has risen by 40% since 2021. Not that these kind of shows ever went away. They've become such a staple of the television landscape that there are 17 different Emmy categories for reality programming. Reality TV runs the gamut from soothing British baking contests and horny Mormons to bootlicking cop ride-alongs and, well, whatever the hell Kardashians are. But here's the thing, it's always on. Turn on the TV right now. You're gonna see some crazy white ladies throwing wine at each other. Reality TV makes up about 20% of all primetime television programming in the US. Whether it's your guilty pleasure or you absolutely hate these shows, there's no denying that it has single-handedly formed the conscience of the American and a lot of other countries' minds. One study found that viewers of reality shows that glamorize wealth were less sympathetic to social causes of the impoverished. Another study found that nearly half of the viewers say that their, the way they looked at beauty standards were influenced by reality TV itself. So if these shows are actually dictating reality, I thought it would be fun to ask the question, how real is reality TV? I don't know, that's a clickbaity title, right? We'll use it, I guess. You guys get mad at me because like the thumbnail and the title changes, but that's something YouTube does. Like I have the ability to like test with you guys. So like I'm not doing that on the fly. I just thought that's a little disclaimer. You guys got kind of mad when I changed that. Can you relax? Bubba? My cat's going crazy. Depending on how you define it, reality TV has been around in some shape or form almost as long as television itself. Now, we've always had a hard time defining reality TV. When does a documentary cross that line? Does Bam Margera have to be involved? But to quote the Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart, who was asked to define hardcore pornography in 1964, I know it when I see it. Larry Flynt. You guys should look into Larry Flynt. Maybe I'll make a video on him, but it'll get demonetized immediately. Extra Tug. Go, that's where I'll put it. The show that many credit with the creating of reality format was Candid Camera in the late 1940s. This was a hidden camera prank show that served as a precursor to Punk'd and Impractical Jokers. Candid Camera was so popular that it ran several different variations throughout history all the way up until 2014. Which is crazy because I've never heard of it. That just goes to show that as humans, we love f***ing with each other so much that we will watch that for 60 straight years. God damn. In the 60s, a new type of reality show took hold with The American Sportsman, a program where a host and a celebrity would participate in outdoor activities like fishing or kayaking. In its essence, it was like Man vs. Wild without the wild part. You just kayaking with a celebrity, pretty tame. But by the time the 70s rolled around, we had documentary television shows like An American Family and Real People. These shows focused on ordinary people and the drama within their lives, a concept the creator of Real People called the theater of reality. Which, I love watching poor people struggle, personally. But this was the first time reality came without strings attached. There was no game or prank involved, just profiles of real people meant to be entertaining in their own right. But even in this early form, outlets like the New York Times accused these shows of blurring the lines between news and entertainment. In particular, shows like Real People would profile the most interesting person that the crew could find. That's why segments often featured wacky profiles on people like California cosmic visionary Spaceship Roofie, who ran a UFO cult. And we know UFO cults end in people wearing Nike Cortezes and shaving their heads and taking their penises off, so I understand the pushback from New York Times. Or Richard Simmons, who gained notoriety from being on the show and got his own show. This is where Richard Simmons came from. But even as lines were blurring on these docudramas, the late 20th century was ushering in a grittier taste in entertainment. Thanks to the 1988 Writers Guild of America strike, Fox picked up the show Cops, a documentary, gritty mix and mash of cops on patrol. We all love cops, right? God, I love the thin blue line. The show had no union writers, no voiceovers, and no host. It was just a fly-on-the-wall document of a night out with the cops. It was cheap to produce and trafficked in a shocking, never-before-seen type of television that Fox would later become known for making. Audiences and critics loved it, which blows my mind, because every time I turned on Cops, I was like, that could have been me. Like, I can't imagine getting pulled over, and then there's a cop, and then a camera crew. I would be so fucking pissed. And sure, you can call me a snowflake all you want, but I don't know what point of this is is relaxing and fun to watch. It makes me so nervous every single time. I don't like watching high school dropouts with guns make their refusal to go to therapy everyone else's problem entertaining. And of course, as real as Cops seems, it's nothing like the actual reality of law enforcement. Studies show that Cops depicts violent crimes, drug arrests, and sex work at rates much higher than they occur in reality. So police work is not as entertaining as this show depicts, which I can't imagine a kid who signed up to be a cop thinking he was going to be busting meth rings all the time. You just deal with grannies who are driving on the wrong side of the road. But through the magic of editing, you can present a more entertaining alternative version of the real world. And with that idea in mind, just 3 years later, we would get our first reality TV show in the style we recognize today. It was a true story of 7 strangers picked to live together, work together, and to document their lives as they work as a unit, and to find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. It's The Real World is the show I'm talking about. I've never seen it personally. The Real World debuted on MTV in 1992. It was a brainchild of John Murray, a news producer, and Mary Ellis Boonham, a former TV soap opera producer. And hey, it's a big tug program, so you know I f***ed up their names. Taking inspiration from the docudrama An American Family, they pitched MTV on the idea of a real-life soap opera, one that follows the lives of young adults in the Big Apple. Or Big City. I don't think this was in New York, but it's more fun to say Big Apple than Big City, in my opinion. And the best part? This shit didn't cost no money, yo. It was a low-rent production that did not require script writing, which is so goddamn cheap. It was a calculated risk. They shot a pilot without knowing if they would get engaging television from candidly shooting strangers in a loft. However, they quickly realized that manipulating situations would create tension and more entertaining television. A term they called throwing pebbles in the pond, aka walking up to somebody and saying, "Hey, she called you a whore. Deal with it." They found that they could even create storylines in the editing room. According to Real World producers, that first season they picked a young virgin from the South as a cast member to live in the bustling New York City. So I was correct, it was New York City. I'm correct, I knew it, I could smell the Big Apple. And when she arrived at the airport, they paid a cab driver to go out of his way to make sure this sheltered Southern belle would see Harlem for the first time for the sole purpose of filming her fish out of water reaction. AKA, they took a young Southern belle and showed her a couple black people for the first time, and that went over very unsmoothly. And then they edited the footage so the Guns N' Roses song Welcome to the Jungle played in the background. A little racist. Little bit of racist. It was 1992. The Real World introduced many ideas still found in reality TV today, like casting for particular character archetypes, filming its cast 24/7, and confessional interviews. Critics panned the show. USA Today called it, painfully bogus, and the Washington Post said it was excruciating torture. However, audiences loved it. Never can trust the critics. Rotten Tomatoes. By 1995, it was MTV's highest rated show, thanks not only in part to drama and creative editing, but because that contrived methods producers used to stoke the coals of controversy often forced cast members into frank discussions on race, sexuality, and the AIDS crisis. It was the 90s, and in the 90s, everything I just said was pretty revolutionary. The Real World also laid the groundwork for the concept of the reality TV star. Many Real World cast members went on to careers in film and television. One of them even became a WWE wrestler. I guess faking it till you make it. He's literally still faking it while he makes it. WWE's not real. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but that shit's not real. MTV helped create this cycle of stardom by recasting its Real World stars with members of its reality competition show Road Rules in a new series called The Challenge. In less than a decade, MTV had created an ecosystem of reality TV royalty, and soon the rest of the industry would follow suit. As a card-carrying American patriot, I have a little hard time saying what I'm about to say, but we have to give Europe a little bit of credit here. After the success of The Real World, these maniacs perfected the idea of reality TV. In 1999, the show Big Brother debuted in the Netherlands, taking the idea of The Real World and turning the volume up to 11. Taking its name from George Orwell's novel, 1984, which is crazy, Big Brother leaned fully into the idea of a surveillance state. Contestants were isolated in a house, constantly filmed, and at random intervals would hear a disembodied voice that gave them challenges. One by one, the contestants would vote each other out of the house until there was one person left and they would win a big prize. It was part reality and part game show, blurring the lines in a way that would become the blueprint for the next 20 years. Big Brother became a global phenomenon, and almost every goddamn country made their own version of it because it was that hot and sexy. Germany, Spain, and the UK, and Italy all releasing versions within the same year. Eventually, Big Brother would get an American version, but not before Survivor hit the airwaves and became our national obsession. My parents were big Survivor people. I never got that big into it because I hated everything my parents did, but I know about Boston Rob more than any other human being on Earth. Debuting in May of 2000, the premise of Survivor was so simple, it was almost primitive. 16 people were dumped on an island off the South China Sea and had to survive while competing in challenges and voting to eliminate other contestants. It's hard to remember a time before Survivor because it's such a firmly cemented pillar pillar of TV. In fact, in 2013, TV Guide named it the 39th best show in the history of television, one spot above Sex and the City. But in 2000, there was nothing like this on TV. Everybody was talking about the show. Talk hosts, classmates, your mom. Your mom specifically talking about Boston Rob, by the way. They all wanted to have sex with Boston Rob. I hated it. But it was everywhere. Over 15 million people watched the show's first episode, and over 50 million tuned in for the season finale. The only TV show with higher ratings that year was the Super Bowl, and you can't compete with the Super Bowl because America loves eating Tostitos chips and watching the big game. And this was a big deal for TV networks because reality TV shows could be produced with a fraction of the cost of regular scripted TV. This realization led to an absolute onslaught of reality TV. One industry survey reported that in 5 years after Survivor's premiere, 200 unscripted reality TV shows were in production, and that number grew to 750 unscripted series by 2015. There was a flavor of reality TV show for every person. MTV followed the life of Ozzy Osbourne and his family in the Osbournes. NBC tapped Joe Rogan to host the ultimate gross-out reality game show, Fear Factor, and Fox fed into every American's illusion of grandeur by creating American Idol. Even channels that were supposed to have curated themed content, like Discovery Channel and History Channel, gave up and had shows like The Deadliest Catch and Pawn Stars. But it got so much worse than that. The ball didn't stop rolling down the poop hill. The reality bonanza circled the drain as networks attempted to gain footholds in the ratings. ABC ran a show called Are You Hot? Which is exactly what it sounds like, and it's really f***ing mean. The show only ran for one season because, believe it or not, a show so laser focused on looks that it actively ditched personality was really f***ing boring. Hear that, hot, tall people? I f***ing hate you. Get a life and a personality. We should kill hot people. But for the rest of us uggos, E! Network had a little show called Bridalplasty, where 12 brides competed in wedding-themed challenges for a chance to get free plastic surgery before their wedding day, along with a celebrity-styled wedding. But let's go back to the plastic surgery. Holy shit, that's f***ing dystopian as hell. Not only was the show in not great taste, but it was also borderline illegal. The American Society of Plastic Surgeons prohibits surgeons from performing procedures as part of contest prizes, which is a crazy clause that put in, I don't know when that came up before this, but obviously there's a lot of prizes being handed out to not be ugly anymore, which is kind of f***ed up. But maybe the lowest of the low was the Fox's Who's Your Daddy? The show followed a woman who grew up with adoptive parents as she lived in a mansion with 8 men who all claimed to be her father. She had to figure out who her father was through fun games and a series of one-on-ones with the contestants. And if she guessed right, she would get a prize of $100,000. Do you understand how f***ed up this is to do to an adoptive child? And if she guessed the wrong father, the fake father that she picked would get the money. So these dads were trying their best to confuse this young lass, Jesus Christ. The whole game was these middle-aged actors were incentivized to lead her astray, and in the process said insanely manipulative things to her. In one episode, one of the daddies told her, "I want you to know that you were conceived in absolute love." And then she broke down into tears. But you probably guessed it, that wasn't her father. To this day, one of the daddies, an actor named John S. Robbins, has a clip on YouTube of his performance with the caption, "My performance on this Fox reality series almost won me $100,000. Actors are the scum of the earth. But once reality shows became the dominant form of programming on TV, they also became parodies of themselves. It didn't seem important that they represented reality at all, and instead, they just kept amplifying drama with insane premises and manufactured realities that kept pushing the envelope. This led us to where we are today, where a show's cast feels more like characters than actual real people. The magic of watching these shows and believing that they're real people is absolutely gone. And while some of their on-screen behaviors is coerced by producers and manipulated through a lot of edits, a lot of it comes from the cast themselves. They know nowadays that you gotta give the producers what they want. But what do producers want? Well, thanks to online talent agencies that specialize in reality clients, I can actually give you a list. Because after these shows became really popular, being a reality TV star was pretty much like as lucrative as being an actor. Agencies tell prospective reality stars what producers want, and here are some of the most important qualities. Unpolished authenticity, aka be a messy bitch. Strong opinions. Go ahead and say some f***ed up shit and literally never back down, because f*** 'em. You're famous now. Emotional rage. Don't be afraid to freak out and break a vase over some poor young fella's head, because that's what we want to see. Confidence without being too serious, because we want you to have a I don't care about it attitude while also believing that you shit literal gold. And most importantly, you have to have a hook. Everybody's got to have a thing. For most people, I think this is achieved through tattoos and a quirky jacket or a haircut combo, which sounds easy, right? Well, not so fast. There are also a few different types of common reality archetypes. You want to make sure you can easily fall into one of these following following categories. We have the leader, the alpha dog of the cast, but they help move the edits along with their main character energy while the other characters bounce off them in order to define themselves. And then you have the underdogs. Unless you have a cold heart of stone, the underdog is probably the person that you're rooting for to win. This is by design though. They're supposed to be an audience favorite. They're supposed to be the one you want to win. They're relatable, which causes you to have an emotional investment in the show. Now they won't win, but they will stick around long enough for you to be hooked into the series. And we have the comic relief. That's usually me. I would love to be on a reality show with a bunch of hot guys and then it's me in the background just pounding shrimp, being like, I know I'm not gonna win, but I need a place to sleep. But the comic relief is the class clown, a rapscallion with crazy hair who seems to be laughing at the absurdity of the whole situation, while still trying to win just enough so you feel like they're actually trying, they're giving a little bit of a shit. I really think I could do this. I feel that wouldn't ruin my life, right? If I went on a reality TV show, I feel like I could do it. Next up is the heartthrob, also me. Yeah, that's right. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm sexy. Or if you don't, just say it. But this one is pretty self-explanatory, right? This is a bombshell or a beefcake. They might not even be your type, but they're just round and flat in strategic places and objectively symmetrical. They are comically hot and important to the show because they bring that sweet, sweet sexual tension. Even if it's just a reality baking show, you want to look at something good looking. And that's usually what the Boston Rob. Oh my god, what a looker. He actually wasn't even that hot. He was kind of fat. In a hot way, though. The female gaze confuses me. And last but not least, we have the villain. Their main attribute is stirring the pot of the big old drama. They live for the gossip and have perfected the backstab like it's a goddamn Olympic-level figure skating move. It's the chaos that fuels them even more than winning, but the cloud of chaos that they create around themselves sometimes gives them a chance of winning. They thrive in the wreckage of others' dreams and know how to navigate the fallout like a champ. This is inarguably the most crucial character of any reality TV show. Without them, you just don't have the juice, baby. They provoke and keep the viewers on their toes. This is the worst person you've ever met, multiplied by a factor of 10. If you've met them in real life, your skin would crawl, but on the screen, you kind of want to see what they're up to. You kind of want to see what they're gonna do. There's a guy called Russell on Survivor, and he was a fucking demon. When he threw the socks into the fire at the end, oh shit. But this amount of self-awareness doesn't necessarily make for the best TV. Audiences are aware of how much contestants can play up the drama for camera, in the same way the contestants know that they need to look after the post-show influencer careers. So the producers have to turn to their old tried and true trick, psychological torture. Hell yeah, baby. Authentic breakdowns make for better TV, so they have to find ways of pushing them over the edge. Firstly, these guys find these people's past traumas so easy, so fun to do. Ex-casting director for The Bachelor, Marky Costello, explained that they would create boards with contestants' backstories so they could work out what pushes their buttons. He said, quote, "She just went through a breakup, she's got over anorexia, she's been a bridesmaid 15 times but never a bride. She's gonna f somebody on day one. She's a virgin, she's never gonna f. That's the reality. They want to know what's going to happen in that house." And then there's good old-fashioned alcohol. One recent study on eating and drinking American TV found that 79% of meals on unscripted shows are simply just alcoholic beverages. Sure, a cocktail or two can loosen somebody up, but have you seen the Housewives and what they get up to? They're a bunch of booze bags, throwing shit around. Combine all that trauma and alcohol, and those producers get fights, tears, and hookups all recorded in crystal clear HD. But these shows have a secret weapon that you might have never even considered, and that is sleep deprivation. As more safeguarding has been introduced to limit alcohol on some competitive shows, producers have gotten creative. On Love is Blind, some contestants claimed that they were sleep deprived by being kept up until 3 a.m. and then needing back on set at 7 a.m. But they didn't know the timing for sure because they weren't allowed to look at clocks. And on a lot of these shows, they're all on set, so they don't even see the sun. This is like being in a casino 24/7. You're gonna lose your mind. One guy was only able to get a rough idea of the time by sneaking a look at the on-set psychologist watch. Yeesh. It's evil genius behavior. Truly. Because a person having a breakdown because they're drunk just looks like a drunk person having a breakdown, but someone having a breakdown because of sleep deprivation, they actually look insane. So in the end, what the f***? Reality TV isn't really real at all. I think we already knew that. And some of you are probably pissed because this is the most obvious statement I could make, and we all knew it going into this. But I'm not sure as many people know this little fact as you think. According to one study of reality TV viewers, 67% think the shows are at least somewhat real. And the word somewhat is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. In the most literal sense, you could say that reality TV is real because they cast literal people who live in reality, but the truth is that they're performing. It is just a new, bastardized version of acting. Like method acting, but you only use your most primitive, monkey-brained impulses. And helping in this ruse is the crew behind the scenes and the editors and producers who aid the process by throwing pebbles in the pond. It's like a magic trick that distracts us with reality from reality. They train the actors to act this way and the viewers to accept the act. And you know, shit, one of them became our president, so who fucking knows? I can't talk shit about reality TV. This might be reality TV. I fucking say words here, I think they're gonna be good, and then Chris me over in the edit, so who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any favorites of reality TV in the history, let me know in the comments down below. Like, I like Boston Rob, so let me know who you like. Like, comment, and subscribe. Actually do all of those things. And check out Extra Tug, $4 a month to get a video every week. They're raunchy and fun, and they're a whole bunch of, I'm really tired right now, so I'm not gonna do the whole spiel. You get the idea, and you get your name at the end of the video, which is really sick. I'm wearing a cute little sweater today, because it's laundry day. Have a good one, everybody. God bless you.